and ask a question. Anybody got a question? I see a couple of people there.
John, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Who's this?
Hi, this is Norm Seeger. And, I've been to many meetings when the Wawa was proposed, which I was definitely against. I remember some woman said that the bypass was going to look like Business Route 1, and Mr. Calabro said, no way. Well, here we go. We not only have the Chick-fil-A, but there's another piece that belongs to the church that could be developed. And we have all this housing now on the bypass at Shady Brook Farm. I just wanted to say it's really starting to look like Business Route 1 if all of this goes through.
Well, I'm not sure it's going to look like business run exactly, but it's going to be really, really messy at that intersection with Newtown-Yardley Road and the bypass.
Yes,
Already, PennDOT has said that one of the lanes is more like an urban type of traffic situation than suburban. Uh,
hmm
they rate these things, and I forget exactly what the rating was, but also the drive-through with Chick-fil-A. I mean, we already know that there is backup
yes,
in the West Road. I'm
right.
assuming there's going to be backup on Newtown Yardley Road. And not to mention the residents who live in that area. There's a few houses that use the road that has access to this development, and it's going to impact them. And it's really, I guess I'm not quite sure when Chick-fil-A has big business, a lot of business. Maybe it's lunchtime,
Yeah.
and maybe that wouldn't be so bad because the traffic is not so much at lunchtime there, maybe, but they probably have breakfast.
I just went to Chick-fil-A at 4 o'clock and they were starting to back up already, and this at 4 o'clock. Now, the Newtown Yardley Road also gets backed up at that time.
Right.
Uh, Sometimes the backup is all the way to the Lutheran Church. So, what is the present zoning for that piece?
Well, I haven't looked at the details of that zoning. All I can remember is that it's going to require changing to the zoning to allow the drive-through, number one. It's going to require changing because to allow the signage, I believe. And so there's multiple, let me look at the document I have here. It says, I'll read this to you if I have, I really need my glasses. Okay, it's seeking relief for a proposed 6,000 square foot restaurant. Um, let's see, what's the proposed restaurant with the drive-through will require a use variance for the inclusion of a drive-through service, dimensional variances for setbacks. That's a little too technical for me right now.
hmm
A drive aisle width and to allow the use of uh, use within 300 feet of Newtown Yardley Road and Newtown Bypass, and relief to allow additional signage on the property and to allow a sign to face the bypass. Um, they made some kind of modifications, but I think they just chickened out. They found out that a lot of people were going to attend that planning commission meeting, and they, at the 3 hours before the meeting, they requested a delay. So I, I think they didn't have all their ducks or chickens in order to meet the resistance they were going to find at a planning commission meeting.
Wawa did that so many times. By the way, how do you feel about the other supervisors? Have you got a read on how they feel about this?
Not so much. Nobody's has said anything. They one or two were just mad at me because I suggested that the one in it may be that they're going to move the one from um, West Road.
Right.
They questioned that, and basically what happens is that, well, if they don't people if these developers don't get their way, they they tend to sue us, right?
Right. Right.
And
Them sue us.
excuse me.
Let them sue us.
Yeah, well, that's what I say, but uh,
Yeah.
I've also, said, oh, well, we're going to lose. Like the Mayfield development, the neighbors were totally against that, but then you know, the neighbors sort of didn't put their money where their mouth was because they were party to the suit. So I just figured, well, we're going to pay for this, and we're going to lose, and that's how a lot of many supervisors sometimes feel
Yeah.
that you were spending money when we pretty sure we're going to lose. And, I'm sure residents are not happy if you spend money and it doesn't get you anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
One thing that I think is really important, and John, when you were showing where this Chick-fil-A is going up, there is a house 500 feet.
Wow.
Our homes are 1,000 feet, only 1,000 feet from a Chick-fil-A.
yeah,
Wow.
well,
It's nothing. It's literally in our front yard.
I
I
know. I
would think
mean,
that our supervisors would want to be protecting us. They've been taking our taxes all this time. Aren't they supposed to
No,
have us?
nope, not happening.
well, you are
I'm not
pretty,
angry at you, John. I'm so happy that you said what you did and you put it out there for people to see. We would not have known until that freaking Chick-fil-A was built.
Yeah.
sometimes that happens. Yeah. But, I was
What
just
I would
saying,
like to know, John, is how can we fight this successfully? How what I you had said, because I was there that afternoon, that evening, waiting for
right.
when they canceled. Like, is there someone spearheading this effort? I don't know if it should be you, but is there someone who's willing to say, "Hey, let's get a petition, let's get signage, let's go door to door, let's canvass, let's make sure every supervisor gets 100 letters, let's make sure every single newspaper and website knows what's going on." Like, is there someone that's going to do this?
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, you have to take it upon yourselves. I mean, get your neighbors together. Uh, you know, I'm I'm an old guy. Back in the 60s, I organized food co-ops in my neighborhood, but that's a lot of work to try to get all people together and do this kinds of things that you're talking about. A petition is a good idea. I mean, I've seen that done and
An
delivered to,
electronic one or a paper one? Which of the two, what makes the most
uh,
sense?
you could do
Paper.
one of these online petitions and then get printouts of it and send it to all the supervisors. That's pretty easy to do. I could help like promote that, for example.
Okay,
Uh,
we can do that. That's easy.
yeah. Now, people who live within 500 feet of any proposed development in for that needs to go before the zoning hearing board are what are called parties to the case. For example, the Newtown Artesian Water Company wants to build a new building to filter
Yeah.
water. which I think is a good idea, but it's within 500 of my house. So I was able to be a party to the case, which means I can go before the zoning hearing board and testify, so
What's that distance? Is it 500 feet or how far does that extend?
I believe it's 500 feet. You have to be within 500 feet of the
Like,
property line. Now, let me tell you this. Wawa defeated my objection because there was a property across the road from the proposed where the Wawa is going to be that's owned by the church, but it's rented out to a family. So it's a family dwelling. And the ordinance that we had to write said that any dwelling within 700 feet means that we could limit the hours of operation. Somehow, that was like completely defeated. They're even able to get around what the ordinance says to get what they want. So now Wawa is open 24 hours a day. All right. Will be open 24 hours a day. So I don't know, you know, if it's going to help or not to get before the zoning hearing board. If you need, that's
I mean,
it's
like, that's where we can get this thing shut down.
well, it starts at the planning commission.
signatures.
The planning commission is easy for anybody to get up and make comments. So, you got to organize people. I'm not sure this is going to be before the planning commission on the
Is it
June
June
6th.
6th?
the 21st of May. Okay, is the planning commission meeting.
Okay.
All right, and then the Board of Supervisors will have it on its agenda. For example, now the Board of Supervisors could oppose this, right? They could send an attorney to the zoning hearing board to oppose these variances that that Chick-fil-A is asking for. And I'm pretty sure they would oppose the signage at least. Okay. So it's possible that the Board of Supervisors will send its lawyer to oppose this application or oppose parts of the application. I'm not sure how it works. Maybe. So you have, first of all, the planning commission where you can make comments. You can come to the May 22nd Board of Supervisors meeting. Well, this will be decided whether the supervisors will oppose this application in front of the zoning hearing board. You could be there and make comments, submit the petitions and so on. But you need to let the Board of Supervisors know way before that,
Yeah.
Okay. And then
Emails and letters then.
the
How do
last
you need signatures?
the last thing is that
Say it again.
it'll be decided at the zoning hearing board on June 6th. That's what the schedule is. So those are the dates.
Hi,
Yeah, anybody else?
this is
We need
Melissa
letters.
Merriman.
It's
Yeah,
lots and
this
lots
is
and lots of letters and lots of presents. If you want to beat this thing, you guys, you know-
Lots of signatures, lots of presents. Be there.
Uh-huh.
We fought we fought for Chick-fil-A, Applebee's, and all that, Bed Bath Beyond, Staples. I mean, when I moved here in '96, I had Goodnose cornfields behind me. Within that year, the zoning was changed that fast. So if they want money, they're gonna change it. And they're gonna do whatever they want to do. We fought, we went to every meeting, they didn't listen to us. We turn around, what do we got? I have in my windows, I live in Tyler Walk across the street from, say, Chick-fil-A. I had to dishearteningly ask Chick-fil-A to please turn their light off at night on the American flag that was shining in my window. They did gracefully and apologize, but nothing is thought about the residents that live here and other places. And it's okay when the trees are full and you can't see it. But I also get the humongous, humongous lights from north in the football field, brand new lights for the last couple of years. I have to pull my shades as soon as it gets dark because they kill our houses here. They just come right into your living room, these lights. And you call the school district, you call the council, you call everybody, and nothing's ever done. This is about 10 years that I've had their lights in my living room where I must pull my shades. Anytime they tell you they're going to work with you and they're going to fit, no. You need tons of signatures, tons of presents, and you got to fight. But it still could happen. I hate to say it. It happened to us, and we fought hard. They didn't follow the money. Follow the money. That's what's going to be done with Wawa and Chick-fil-A. And over here, I live right behind Chick-fil-A. It is a nightmare getting in there. It's very upsetting to me to run over and get milk or bread. It takes me 10 minutes sitting in that line, and you never see police there ever. You know, so I talked to the manager one day. I said, how are you going to solve this problem? You're backed up onto the bypass. They're backed up about a quarter of a mile on the bypass to get into the center. We all know about the parking and
I'm sorry, you're fading out.
fading out. Well, I shouldn't be.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. What was the last thing you said?
We all know about the dilemmas over there in those parking lots. But coming in to just go to the Acme or run to one of those stores, you sit there, then you fight with people. There's a lot of fights going on, especially the new people coming in from New Jersey, wherever. They're beeping at you. This should have never been approved, but maybe you didn't see with foresight about the business of Chick-fil-A. Because
Well,
if you put one on the bypass, it's going to be just as busy as here. But yes, I agree. Gentlemen, we are Route 1. We are going.
well, one of the things that bothers me is, we tried to have a solution to the backup problem, and Chick-fil-A has nothing to implement that solution.
Well, what
So,
are they going to do, John? What are they going to do? I mean,
Fine.
you know, either I said to the manager one day, I said, listen, I said, this is really a nightmare out there. I said, you're backing everybody up that has to get home. They have to grab something, Acme, go home, feed their family. I said, this is ridiculous. Why can't you, blah, blah, blah. He said, because we're a chain. We don't have much room. I said, can you extend your kitchen, maybe? Go extend your building. And he said, I don't think we're allowed here. We're not allowed under the conditions of his, franchise, whatever. They cannot, they're all built the same. And I said, okay, so now that you see the influx of building and families and people coming to Newtown, which I still don't understand. I've been here since 96, and this has broken my heart. And I've had 2 family friends that already left Newtown for that reason, and one leaving Lower Makefield for what happened over there with Wegmans and all. They're gone. Those people are starting to move. So, okay, maybe new people will move in. It's not the same town. It's very sad. And just to throw in real fast, that bridge, I teach, and I take people down there to learn the history of our country about the Battle of Trenton. If that was not won, we would not be sitting here today as the United States. So to break down, again, more history, instead of leaving it for all the bikers like me and walkers, that bridge is wonderful. You got a state park on each side of it. You got beautiful restaurants on each side of it, but yet they want to knock it down. Why? 2 miles down the road, John, they got another bridge that they just spent how much on? Now you want to put another bridge in? We don't need another bridge. If we're too lazy to drive 2 miles, shame on us. But that bridge should not be touched. That is history, that bridge. That's how I feel about the bridge and the bypass. Yeah, Route 1, the gentleman's correct. We're just next year it'll be something else. And if they keep building houses and ruining our beautiful, beautiful Bucks County, it's everybody I talked to is moving. They want to get out of here. It's so crowded. And now they're still building. So that's all I have to say, but it's about all of that. Just stop. Just stop. Leave Newtown. We're on the maps as history, and we have to deal with this. More building, more. Why? When we're all gone, baby boomers, when we're all gone, you're going to have tons and tons of housing all over the country, actually. What are they going to do with it? I know what they're going to do with it. So, okay, I'm a little upset, but that's my input.
Well, thanks for your input.
You're welcome.
And
Hey, John.
yeah.
So this is Cindy. We've talked before. I work in Yardley. I actually work down the street from Shady Brook Farm. And ever since the Wegmans opened, my commute home.
Cindy, you broke up. What happened?
I said, when I come home, ever since the Wegmans opened, it's taken me 10 extra minutes to get home. I sit at the traffic light at Stony Hill Road in the bypass for 3 cycles trying to get onto the bypass. I do not want to sit for 20 minutes trying to get off the bypass at Upper Silver Lake Road. That TD Bank was fine. Another bank would be fine because their hours are limited, but to allow a restaurant that's going to be open till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, especially that close to homes, is ridiculous. The Wawa was across from one home. It affected one home in a different township. These are Newtown Township residents that this traffic's going to sit on top of.
Right.
As Norm said earlier, the bypass at 5 o'clock gets backed up to Penn's Trail, even beyond that.
Wow.
So unless you're going to take a Chick-fil-A and find a way to divert that traffic in another direction away from the bypass and send them all the way down to the NAC.
No.
Sydney, you broke up again a little bit.
You're not going to be able to make a left out of that Chick-fil-A at all.
Yeah. I don't
And
know.
if you have to, I would say get PennDOT involved. And even look around. Look at the other Chick-fil-A's that are in Bristol and Levittown and the other locations where it's a traffic nightmare already.
Yeah.
That's a good idea with PennDOT because I remember PennDOT was involved like in the Mayfield development, and they allowed a public meeting to discuss the traffic issues because we were opposed to the U-turn that residents would have to make to get onto the bypass from that development. And PennDOT said it's perfectly fine, but they at least held a public meeting where residents were able to voice their concerns. And that may be an interesting idea. I'm going to try to see if I can find out who to contact at PennDOT, because another, on Newtown-Yardley Road by Tara Boulevard, the residents there wanted a flashing beacon for pedestrian. There's a crosswalk there. And they are in communication with PennDOT, and so if there is a precedent for it, and I'm not quite sure, what PennDOT would do, but obviously is going to be needed some kind of traffic study. Unfortunately, most of these traffic impact studies. They always say, "Oh, it's going to be perfectly fine." What do I know? I'm not a traffic engineer. To look at all the data is like, it says only this. It's only going to increase traffic by 10 cars or something like that.
John, they lie.
It won't.
They
It
lie.
won't. And I understand. And I understand the other comment about about West Road backing up on West Road onto the bypass. There's one right-hand lane that goes pretty much all the way from Tyler State Park down.
Yeah.
So you're not inhibiting the flow, you're inhibiting the flow of traffic into the shopping center, unfortunately, but you're not inhibiting the flow of traffic across. So you're not inhibiting the flow of traffic to continue left on the Durham Road or to come straight down towards,
Right.
Sycamore Grill or wherever.
Right.
Coming off of the bypass at Upper Silver Lake Road, it's only maybe 100 feet of that right-hand lane, which means if they tie that up, they are literally going to tie up bypass traffic.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
going to be cutting off an entire right-hand lane of traffic.
Yeah.
Cindy, you were making so much
I just
sense.
wanted to make one
Even
other
even to
point.
continue on neck, you're going to cut off that traffic.
This is Melissa Merriman. Can you guys hear me?
yes.
Yes, Melissa, go on.
I just wanted to make one. I have two questions real quick, and then one point I want to make that's relevant to this whole discussion is that Silver Lake Road. I apologize. I don't know if it's upper or lower, but where the Chick-fil-A is being proposed it's not a through street. It actually dead ends. As someone mentioned, there's a lot of residences there. So there's nowhere to turn around. So not only is it going to be a nightmare coming off the bypass, there's only one way out. So that their facility itself will be completely log jammed because there's only one way out. It's also a major safety concern. If there was ever an emergency for those residences, there'd be no way to get to them.
Yeah.
So that definitely needs to be addressed in a major way. I mean, there's school buses that go there too at the end of the day that potentially could not turn onto that road because of the traffic coming out of the building.
So
And then just two quick questions before you comment. Do we know how large the Chick-fil-A is in the Village Shopping Center right now? How many square feet? I know the new one is proposed to be 6,000. I feel like that's much larger than what's already in place.
I don't know that offhand right now. That's interesting. How does that impact what your opposition is? What are you thinking about?
Well, I just think that if they're building a Chick-fil-A that's even larger than what already exists in the Village Shopping Center, that to me would say that they're expecting high volume
Yeah.
of people
Oh,
probably
yeah.
coming off of
I
95.
mean, yeah.
You're not
Okay.
going to invest
Yep.
in a big, large facility in that location to service Newtown. They're trying to attract customers off of 95, highway
Yeah.
traffic. There's going to be gas and food right there. So you're bringing all of this traffic into what is already an area that cannot handle what's here. Just the woman's point about Wegmans already. It's like they've done all that widening of that section of the bypass and it's still backed up
Horrible.
terribly.
It's
So
horrible.
that's my one question is I want to understand. And then the other thing I really want to understand is we keep saying we're afraid that they'll sue. I don't understand what grounds they would have for legal action. The property is zoned for intended use. That planning was done for specific reasons. So what is the grounds for suing?
You can
Like
change
when I
that
wanted to
zoning
put in my
anyway.
patio, I was only allowed so many impervious,
You can change
so
that
much
zoning
impervious
very
surface
quickly.
space.
Oh, I already lived through this. They can change the zoning very quickly. If they got a buyer and they want to build and make money for the township, they'll change it. I lived through that. It only took 6 months. I was in my new house.
Well, for Wawa, what they did was they claimed the zoning was unconstitutional because it didn't allow the use of a combination gas station and convenience store. The apartment buildings down the road also sued because they said our zoning is unconstitutional because it doesn't allow any mid-rise apartment buildings like they want. The other apartments on South Sycamore Street, at least they have the decency to ask for an amendment rather than suing us right off the bat because they want a new use called a B11 use, which is this enclosed garage apartment building. So they can come up with any kind of special use and
Yeah.
say, don't have that use, your zoning is unconstitutional. Now, I'm not quite sure how this fits in with what you call it with the Chick-fil-A. Thanks for listening to my presentation. Be sure to visit my website at www.johnmacknewtown.info. It's chock full of information about issues of importance to Newtown Township residents. You can also find important township documents, my email newsletter, my personal points of view, for example, my blog, and links to videos and audio podcasts.